Look, when it comes to the UAP thing in Congress, you got to go big or go home. We got to stop playing around. So I'm going to share some thoughts I've shared pretty much before about Eric Burleson and Dr. James Lacatski. Now, this video here is from Down to Earth with Christian Harloff. It's a really good channel on UAP stuff. Please check it out. Please subscribe, give them likes, comment, support the algorithms and all that stuff. But anyway, I left a comment. Christian, his name is Christian Harloff, he has talked about how he's trying to get Eric Burleson onto his show, and I think that's a wonderful idea. Very super quick context. He was very supportive of him, as was I, of Eric Burleson. But recently, back in December, after that weaponized episode with Eric and two other Congress people, Luna and Burchett, after they were on, he kind of, lost a lot of that respect. But I don't know, some of that returned a little bit because he's willing to have him on and talk to him. But I'm betting he's going to ask the good questions. Now, that episode was insanely important. Afterwards, I talked about this before, but UFO Joe made a brilliant post on Twitter about what should be done and kind of pushing back on what Eric Burleson said about why he's not going to have James Lacatski testify. And that's been repeated, several times. And then on recent podcast of what's it called, Total Disclosure, I think, with Ty Robertson. I think that's the name of the podcast. But anyway, UAP Total Disclosure, something like that. But he had Eric Burleson on live. It was a long discussion, actually. I was surprised that Eric allowed that much time, but I was able to ask a live question, basically summing up, because you can only do so much in the super chat, but summing up the pushback that UFO Joe mentioned. And I felt like Eric Burleson kind of pushed the way, or he was kind of dismissing it. Maybe he just didn't understand it, trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, but I don't know, it's something iffy about what's going on there. But my point, and I made this point before, that they need to strategize better. They can really pull off the hearing of the century. Okay, let me just read my comment here. Now, a lot of this I talked about before. Mostly I want to get this down just for my own sake, so this doesn't get lost. And I'm going to see if I can get a hold of, I'm going to try and see if, sorry, I had to pause it. I'm going to see if I can try to get a hold of Glenn Grothman, which is my representative. If I can, no longer reach or can't reach Eric Burleson because he's not in my district or whatever, he's not my person. But anyway, yeah, I just want to read it for my purposes and for you guys as well. But we need to push this idea, I think, anyway. It just seems like that people keep forgetting about that this was a thing after that weaponized episode. Nobody's talking about it anymore. And it's kind of irritating me. I keep bringing it up in comments sections on YouTube, and it seems like nobody even cares or sees it anymore. In the UFO community, people just move on. A great point is made, and they just move right on to something else and just forget about a lot of stuff. And yeah, I guess it's kind of easy because there's always new news, and we forget a lot of things that have happened in the past. But anyway, I might have to pause it here and there because I am doing some stuff in the background. You might hear some beeps and stuff, but what I would like to add to this, though, is that we need to poke the bear. So you have this hearing, and man, would I absolutely love to be on staff, like just as, for free, as just someone on the background. I would love to help put this together, just to strategize. That's what's missing, is strategy. But you might have to poke the bear. What I mean by that is the president, in solitude, all the Congress people at this next hearing, if they were to have it, they need to do something magnificent to make it into the news. Pull all the stops, or however that saying goes. You need to do everything, put everything into it. You have three people that you should have for the next hearing: Christopher Mellon, Dr. James Lacatski, and Jay Stratton. You have those people and ask the right questions and frame the entire hearing just right. What you say, you look into the camera, you talk to the American public. I just had so many ideas. It would be perfect. But in solidarity, if I'm pronouncing that word right, the entire Congress needs to make an appeal to the president. I know they don't want to poke the bear, especially the Republicans, because you don't want to, get them to be on your bad side or whatever. But everyone, Democrat and Republican, need to poke the bear, and maybe to make a big showmanship of things. Like, you got to do stuff like this. Everyone at the same time, maybe sometime during the hearing, say the same thing in unison. That would be a huge moment. Just the optics of it, to demand that Trump does sign, I forgot the exact language, but sign something for UAP whistleblower protections, because he could do it at a stroke of a pen. He could do it right now. Something to that effect. That's what everyone wants. do that. Demand. Say, Mr. President, make it a very good sounding statement, pretty short, but you got to demand it. Everyone in Congress, imagine that. Imagine the optics that will be played on the news. He will see it. Imagine that, guys. That will be everywhere. If there's nothing to hide, then you shouldn't have a problem with signing this. But Mr. President, we need you to sign this in, however you want to word the language. But you have to poke that bear at least a little bit. You have to say something. And I think that would be the absolute best way to do it, is to do it in that fashion. Not just one person saying it, because this is something that's never, how many times have you ever had something like that before in Congress? That's why you got to do something outrageous. You got to do something big, different. And that should definitely make the news, if nothing else. That should, get people more aware of this subject. Hey, look what happened in Congress. Not to mention all the other bombshells that would happen during this hearing. So let me get into it. I might pause it a bunch because I'm doing stuff in the background, like I said. All right, I'll try to go through this fast. As you can see, I made this 23 hours ago. Hopefully I don't have too many voice-to-text errors. When I say James L., that's Lacatski, because, my voice-to-text doesn't translate the word Lacatski. Anyway, let's try this. I hope you get Eric on the show because I trust you to ask the hardest and best questions. With the Dr. James Lacatski thing, I'm pretty sure that he is willing to testify based on what he has said, and the reason why Eric has not brought him in is because he's just going to say what we already heard him say, and you complain about that. I'm talking about Christian. You complain about that. I complain about it. Everybody complain about it. How do you not get the guy who worked on the program and is able to say the things that he has said? How do you not pair that up with Jay Stratton? I keep bringing this up, but the day or two after the Weaponized podcast in December, UFO Joe made a very excellent point. And by the way, guys, I'm pretty sure I linked to that post on a recent video that I did. Just look for a similar topic in my videos and you'll be able to find it. Anyway, he was pissed. Sorry, can I use that word as a Christian? He was pissed off just as much as the rest of us. But David G., meaning David Grush, did not say anything beyond his News Nation interview in 2023. And yet he was the star witness. Eric even says as much in another interview. We're in the same... I don't know what I meant there. Or in the same interview, he said he doesn't want James because he will only say what he has already said or what he already said in his book. And my question is, so? I think these guys are very short-sighted. How come these guys won't craft a hearing with James Stratton and Mellon, meaning Christopher Mellon, and deliberately pitch this to the American public? Make this hearing about disclosure. And I would even say have disclosure in the title. Make it about disclosure and revealing truth, very in your face, and talking to the public by looking into the camera during their preamble, like the preamble speeches or the stuff before they get into it, usually talk like 10 minutes or whatever, and tell the American public that these guys have worked in an official UAP program, or programs. I don't know if it's program or programs, but I would even stress the tax dollars thing. These are tax dollars. They have worked in it, and this is what they have to say. That's how you got to pitch this to the American public. Anyway, and what you are about to hear, even though it can't be everything, is going to shock you. Find a good way to word it. I'm just giving a summary. And then you have each one of them say the things they have already said, but under oath. Is that hard? Focus on what James Lacatski focus on him and have him read excerpts from his book and get him to testify those specific details under oath. On record, open to the public. Why the heck not? Sorry, I used that other word, but I'm pumped up and mad too. Jay Stratton said in Age of Disclosure he has seen non-human craft, non-human bodies. It's in the trailer. Get him to confirm or deny that under oath. Again, he worked on the program, and he says this. The American public probably doesn't even know that guy. Let me say that again. I said that kind of fast. The American public probably doesn't even know who Jay Stratton is. And Christopher Mellon worked on the same stuff, right? Pitched to the American public their credentials, meaning like what these credentials these guys have, because it's extensive. And, again, they worked in the government on these programs. And how it was an official UAP program. I mean, there's so many ways you can do this if they just think. That could blow the door off the hinges. The public will be slapped in the face with it finally, at least hopefully, because how can the media not cover that now? Especially if it's very direct to the American public and you set it up just right. Make it almost like a press conference of sorts. Advertise it. Say this is what the American government doesn't want you to know. And it will push put pressure on politicians like crazy. I just feel like they are not strategizing. I mean, how is James Lacatski saying that we have, breached the craft of non-human intelligence under oath, so dismissive to Eric? I gotta fix some of these things up, but yeah. Or all the other shocking things he has said. So Christian, you might not see this, and I'm sorry that it was a long comment, but please ask him something pertaining to that and push back where needed. Also, I mentioned this and commented on one of your videos in the past, but it was on a different that I run, different YouTube channel I meant. But I was able to ask Eric during a live broadcast, Total Disclosure podcast. I essentially asked him about this and the limited words I had in the super chat, but he essentially blew off my question, or maybe he didn't understand it. It was kind of off-putting, but I tried to give him the benefit of the doubt. I just really don't think he understands how powerful this could be. But going back to what UFO Joe said, have James read excerpts from his book. The witnesses need to work together with Congress before the hearing. Let's pick the absolute best quotes, and Congress, with Congress have the best questions ready. And Congress have the best questions ready, so I was correct. It shouldn't be that hard to strategize like this, and or have somebody read his books and find the best quotes for him to read. Heck, I would love to do that and be on their team for free and help them strategize. And I think I may have added this in a previous video, but Jay Stratton is also coming out with a book. Now you have to remember, with these books, they had to go through, I think it's the Dobster process, so they were able to say what they're able to say in the book, officiated by the government. Like, they have permission to say this. Mention that in the hearing. Make it all about their stupid books. I don't care. I'm so sick and tired of this. Oh, they wrote a book, they're trying to get money. They don't make diddly squat from this stuff. But I don't care. This has been cleared. Make it clear to the American public, guys, this has been cleared by the government in their books that they can talk about this. They can't go beyond that, but this is what they can talk about. And yeah, that's what you do. And if we have to wait a little bit for James Stratton to get his book out, because maybe there's a bunch of interesting things in there, then whatever. I don't care. Fine. But I think all three of those guys need to be together because they worked on this stuff together. Maybe get Lou Elizondo back again, because he's been in the same stuff. They're all together, all these guys. I don't know if you have Lou back again, because he was already testifying, but if not, that's fine. But dude, how do you not do this? Like, how? And again, optics matter. You absolutely have to pitch this to the public. That's the most important thing. You have to blow this off the hinges. You can't just have a normal, even though it's exciting because of the topic, normal C-SPAN type of thing that not many people are going to watch. You need to go full on, everything out, just go hard. Just, what's the word I used at the opening of this? Go big or go home.